Paramanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvaditam Gaganasadarsham Tattvamasyaati Laksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Tripurarahitam Satgurum. So, what shall we do? You want an interaction? Let me start a little bit and then you can hear me. No.
Yeah.
Let me introduce myself to those who don't know me. This introduction is about this who is sitting before you. I was born in the south of India, in the state of Kerala, which is the southernmost state. We are a family. It comes from fifth generation settlers from across the border in the north. This side. They went as the personal bodyguards to the Maharaj of Travancore. That's how our family came from the northwest frontier and settled down all the way into the south of Kerala. I was like a normal child, except that as a small child, when I looked at the clouds, I always thought that there were snow-capped mountains. And I also had this habit of folding my legs and sitting down quietly. Beyond that, I was as playful and as naughty like any other kids of that age. My family, I would say, was not so orthodox. By birth, I come from a Muslim family. They were not very orthodox, but they believed that there is some God. So I was brought up in that circumstances, fairly affluent circumstances. And then one day, when I was at the age of 8 and a half, I was playing in the backyard of my house in Trivandrum. We had a big jackfruit tree there. So after all my friends had gone away, I was still hanging around in the evening. When I thought I saw, I actually saw somebody standing under the jackfruit tree, a person who is, I would say, quite unfamiliar in the scene there in Kerala. Very tall and extremely fair, and his hair was all matted and tied up on the top with a little beard. He was bare-bodied except for a small piece of cloth. And he had in his hand what I later came to know is a kamandalu. But for me it looked like just something. And in his neck was a necklace of fat Rudraksha beads, which I didn't know also. He looked in my direction and did this. See, the normal reaction would be to, if you see a strange looking guy, and that to a stranger in the evening calling you, the normal reaction would be to bolt, to run. But somehow I felt I'd go. So I went towards him. He put his hand on my head as I close. Now when I think about it, I look, because I was also small and he was anyhow very tall. So I was looking up at him and he put his hand on my head. And he said something which at first I could not understand. The first thing he said was, "Kuch yaad aaya?" Kya yaad aaya? We must know that we are in Kerala, but we continued for generations to speak Urdu at home. Because 2 generations ago the Pashto was forgotten, but Urdu remained with us because there was a combination of Hyderabad and all that. So he said, कुछ याद आया? I said, look, नहीं. ठीक है. समय होने पर सब ठीक हो जाएगा. So I was thinking, क्या समय कब होगा, क्या ठीक होगा? ठीक है, वापस जाओ, he said. So I started turning and walking back. Halfway through, I wanted to turn back and look at him, to see who's this, where would he have come from. Actually, in my mind, I didn't think of anything mysterious. There was this compound wall which was very short. I thought this guy has jumped. Really. So I went, but I could not turn myself and look. I was kind of not allowed to turn, so I walked straight and reached the kitchen door and entered the kitchen. My mother was there. So I wanted to tell my mother, okay, I saw something like this. Again, the problem was that somewhere here it seemed as if there's some lock. So for many years I could not share this experience with anybody. It just remained with me. And from that time onwards, in the night, same night onwards, I used to wake up around midnight as if someone is waking me up. I didn't see anybody. And those eyes always used to haunt me, those big eyes which looked at me. And in the night I used to feel something very pleasant in this area. And that was my meditation, because I had not learned any meditation. Lie down and close my eyes and enjoy. And then it would spread. So many things happen. So this went on for some years. I went to school, I went to college, but my mind was not exactly on all that. Nor was I interested in what my father was doing. He was a build contractor. And I am the only son, I am the eldest. I have two sisters who are younger than me. So it went on like that. And I met, as if by accident, many holy men in that area. Whoever was there took their blessings. It's long. If you read the autobiography, you will get all the details, but I'm just opening the dialogue. So, at the age of 19, I suddenly felt there was an overwhelming sensation that I'm in a trap, in a cage. A good cage, of course, you could get money and food and everything. But even cages of gold are still cages, so I was in a cage. I wanted to break through and get out. So I was wondering what to do. One day I decided I'm going to the Himalayas. I don't know why, actually. I didn't know I was going to see anybody, nothing in my mind. I had some money which was supposed to be the final installment for the exams. Sorry, not to be imitated by young people. So then I took it and got a ticket, worked out some. In those days there was nothing, you have to take a railway guide and all that. So I went to Delhi, then from there to Rishikesh, went to Haridwar, spent some time wandering around, meeting sadhus. Somehow my mind was not satisfied, even in Rishikesh. In fact, I stayed for quite a long time in the Shivananda ashram in Rishikesh, the Divine Life Society. So Chidananda was the head of the ashram. So one day he called me and he said, I don't think you will stay here because your mind is somewhere else. You probably want to go up the Himalayas. I said, yes, Swami, that's what I want. He warned me that be careful, there are lots of frauds and imitations around. Be careful. Okay, I said, I took his advice and so I wandered in many places. Took me about 1.5 to 2 months to finally reach Badrinath. And in Badrinath, I had to find a place to stay. It was cold. So I went to see the chief priest of Badrinath. The chief priests of Badrinath even today come from Kerala. So I thought I'll speak the language and get some help. They are from Nambudri Brahmins from. So I went to the chief priest and talked. He said, I can find you a place to stay across the Ganga. I'll find you a place to stay. You can eat food here, that's not a problem. Since the priests of Badrinath are from Kerala, Badrinarayan is supposed to eat at least one Kerala meal a day. That's Naivedya. So I went and I used to have good food. But every day the man will give me a lecture discouraging me, saying, go back. He said, oh, you're wasting your time, you're an educated young man. But I openly told him who I was, which religion I came from. He said, that's all fine. But go back, there is nothing here. I said, I heard there are some yogis. No, they only ganja smokers. So I was very completely shattered because I had burnt my bridges. And here I have come, and here there is nothing, it's too much. It's like, I was really shaken. And actually, because one day he told me that I used to see a Baba sitting there like this, and this man told me, oh, he's a ganja fellow. So actually I found out one day that this guy was smoking. So I said, my world is finished and I'm not going back. So I thought I'll walk up from there. So beyond Badrinath, the last village is called Mana. It's a Tibetan settlement there. They make carpets. So beyond that, I heard that in some caves there are great yogis sitting. So I said, let me go in the evening and investigate. So I went. I said to myself, if I don't find anybody, I'm going to jump into the Ganga from here. Maybe next birth I will get a body which is better for me to pursue these matters perhaps. So I was in such a state, depressed. So I looked at the Alkananda flowing with big noise, roaring. I said, 5 minutes I'll be dead. So good. So I went up and looked around. I passed through a cave called Vyas Gufa. Now it's all built up. Those days there was nothing, it's just a little cave. So I went up, there was nobody there. I went up, looked at, there were some caves in the mountains, but there was nobody. 2 or 3 places they had made metal doors, locked it and disappeared somewhere. So I was disgusted, I came back. By the time I came back, it was evening time, darkness had set in and I was kind of fumbling, coming very slowly. I came back again to the Vyasa Gufa. When I reached the mouth of Vyasa Gufa, I saw that there was a fire in front, burning. Dhoom. Somebody had lit a fire. I said, if somebody has lit a fire, there must be somebody in the cave. So slowly I wriggled past the fire because it was in the mouth of the cave. I went inside. Then I was shocked, surprised, because I thought I saw the same person who I saw when I was 9 years old. He was a tall man, same, he got up. And his first words convinced me. He said, Acha, ghum phir ke wapas aa gaye. He said. So I said, spontaneously I called him Babaji. I said, Babaji, हाँ, I said, अंदर आओ. I went inside. बैठो. अभी कुछ याद आया? I said, कुछ याद. So I sat with him. Then I don't know, I felt so much attracted by him and I told him, I'll never leave you again, I'm going to stay with you. I'm not going away. So he smiled and he said, yeah, dekha jayega. We'll see. So from that time, he took me to his residence, which is the cave behind the Badrinath. If you go to Badrinath, you walk behind, find a place called Charanapadukas, where there are some caves. Even now there are caves. So in one of those caves he used to live. So he took me there across the Ganga in the morning. Whole night, it was a beautiful night. 2.5, almost 3 years I spent with him, wandering. So here was a man who had no paraphernalia, no banner, no nothing. Barefoot wanderer in the Himalayas. So slowly I also got accustomed. So I wandered. He used to look after me very well because he thought I'll fall sick. So with blankets, always said, cover your ears. But he had nothing. I have never seen him in Gomukh glacier wearing an upper garment. So I spent my 2.5 years of my lovely life with him. If you read the autobiography, you can download it somewhere, Kindle or Amazon. At the end of 2.5, almost 3 years, when I thought, this is wonderful life. Settle down here happily. He told me, get out. Go back. I said, but Babaji, where? Go back home. Then live normally, do what you want. Lead a normal life, don't change your clothes, don't do anything. Lead a normal life. And also, after a while, you will also get married, you will have a family, be with them. But you know what to do, stay with it, deep inside. He said, I'm going to send you out to prove that people who lead normal lives, normal meaning, of course, there are some rules and regulations naturally, can also reach spiritual heights. There is no need to run away somewhere or hide somewhere or change your clothes, mannerisms or anything of that kind. So I tried to plead with him that I don't want to go back and get trapped in the circus. But he said, you should have to go. He said, I thought I was making you unselfish and helpful to people. It looks like you have become so self-centered. You want to enjoy this, then stay here. Go. So finally I left. I said, okay. Came back, went home. Lot of crying and things. Then I settled down. Every year for a month or two, Babaji would inform me where to meet. So I would go, be with him, come back. Even during that period, he took me to many places. So then I got married, settled down, and I could not teach because Babaji had not given me permission to speak. So my mouth was shut. I used to go and sit at Satsangs and hear people saying things. Sometimes I would think, what is this guy saying? But I can't open my mouth, so I used to come back. This went on for many years then. One day I got the green signal. By then my children were already 8 years and 6 years old. I got the green signal to start my Babaji's work, to talk, to have satsang. So that's how it started. Started from Bangalore and then. So now it's become part of the circus. So we are also having a performance. So this is my short resume.
So you were lucky that somebody informed you ahead of time not to fall for quacks. How did you find out the real Guru in this ancient world?
I didn't find out.
Guru found you.
He came to me and called me out. See, you can't explain this until you believe in previous births and connections. You will see in some people's life, they appear to be quite ordinary lives, and then suddenly one day something happens and they change. Now it cannot be that it has happened by accident. Nothing happens by accident. It is that they have a link somewhere. And now it has matured and come out. For me it happened a little early, that's all. But what you discover is that through experience, is that in all human beings, all living beings, in the heart of all living beings, there is a divinity. We call it Antaryami, the one who sits inside. That divinity is there in all. So, manifesting that divinity is the whole of spiritual life. Whichever way. There are many ways. since it is infinite, there must be infinite ways to approach them. How you manifest is the whole of spirituality.